Hello, I'm Carson Corman. Welcome to another installment of the Tots Tuesday Storytime presented by the Village Learning Place. I am the lead academic teacher at the Village Learning Place in Baltimore, Maryland, and I am here to read you another story today. Today's story is called Amy Wu and the Perfect Bow by Zhang and Charlene Chua. Amy Wu and the Perfect Bow. Bow like bow, not bow. Amy Wu and the Perfect Bow. Amy can do a lot of things. She can brush her teeth, she can tie her shoe, she can even do both at once. Sort of. But there's one thing Amy cannot do. She cannot make the perfect bow. Sometimes they come out too small, and sometimes they come out too big. Sometimes she adds too much filling, and sometimes not enough. And sometimes they fall apart before they reach her mouth. Amy's mom and dad make perfect bow. So does her grandma. Their bow are soft and fluffy and so delicious. Amy could eat them all day. Sometimes she does. Today, Amy is going to do it. She's going to make the world's most perfect bow. Bow making is an all-day event. Amy's dad starts in the morning mixing together the ingredients for the dough. Then it's time to knead. He pushes the dough. He punches the dough. Amy gives it a try too. They leave the dough to rise. Amy keeps an eye on it just in case. It grows bigger and bigger and even bigger. Amy's dad squishes the dough down just in time. He rolls it into a log and cuts it into pieces. Meanwhile, Amy's mom seasons meat for the filling. Garlic, mushrooms, pepper, salt, ginger. Everyone gathers around the table and rolls up their sleeves. It's time to get to work. Amy's first bow turns out a little funny. So does the second. It's hard to know how much filling to add. Too little and the bow is sad and empty. Too much and oops! It's also hard to pinch the bow shut just right. Pinch, pinch, pinch. Amy watches her mom make a perfect bow. She watches her dad make a perfect bow. And her grandma too. They all try to teach her. Roll out the dough like this, says Amy's dad. Use just enough filling, says Amy's mom. Pinch, 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 says Amy's grandma. But Amy's bow just aren't the same. They are too empty, or too fat, or they have holes in them. They leak. Maybe today won't be the day after all. Maybe Amy just can't make a perfect bow. Then Amy has an idea. The pieces of dough were cut for grown-up hands, but Amy's hands are very small. She whispers her idea into her grandma's ear. And Grandma cuts each piece of dough into two smaller pieces, Amy-sized pieces. Now they fit Amy perfectly in Amy's palms. Carefully, Amy rolls the dough with its thicker on the inside and thinner on the edges. She adds just the right amount of filling. She pinches it shut, and there it is! Amy's perfect bow. She makes another, and another, and even more after that. She's a bow-making master. Soon, all the dough and filling are gone. Everyone is tired, but they're not done yet. Amy's grandma boils a big pot of water. It's time to steam the bow. Amy keeps an eye on the steamer, just in case. All her perfect bow, and all the imperfect ones too, are snug inside. The bow are done. Amy's mom lifts the lid off the steamer. Whoosh! Out comes a puff of steam. Amy can't see anything at all. The steam clears. There are Amy's perfect bow. They're not too small. They're not too big. They have just the right amount of filling and they do not leak. They are soft and fluffy and so, so delicious. Amy eats one, then another, then she eats one of the not-so-perfect bao, and you know what? It tastes just as good! This is an amazing story about a family cultural heritage of making food together, and also learning that perfection is not perfect. It's not something that happens easily, and honestly, rarely does happen. So assuming that perfection is the only way is something that could really cause you problems and strife in the future. So if you're like Amy and you finally figure out a way to make something better, remember to look back at what you did before and think, maybe it wasn't so bad. Maybe everything's really just as good. Thank you for joining me again for Tots Tuesday Storytime. I'll see you later.